Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you especially to Thomas and to Ken for this opportunity to work with UNC Charlotte. We're really pleased to have the opportunity to get outside of Winston-Salem and to kind of share what's going on in the city and some of the artists that we're working with the larger state and, with what you're doing here as students. As Thomas mentioned, I'm the curator at the Southeastern Center for Contemporary Art, or SCCA. And just to give you a little bit of a background about what we're doing right now, we're undergoing our own sort of architectural transformation. The building itself is closed for 2009. We're undergoing repairs in flooring and roofing and climate controls. But rather than kind of use that as a reason to hibernate, we've used it as a catalyst to actually launch a public art program that will be taking place over the course of 2009, and it'll be involving 7 different artists. And each of these artists are quite different in terms of their background and the media that they use, but the common thread is that they are all trying to shift notions of what public art can be. Public art not as this sort of static monument or the heavy bronze, but thinking about public art as something ephemeral and agile and dynamic and especially unexpected. We're thinking about public art unexpected sites, unexpected subject matter, and so that's why we're so pleased to be working with Anna von Gwinner. And Anna, just to give you a brief background on Anna, she was born in Munich, but spent most of her time in Berlin, where she went to school, and originally went to school at the University of the Arts in Berlin as an architect. And she spent a number of years as a practicing architect, working alongside her partner Florian Kuhl, who actually really designed some really interesting buildings in Berlin. But gradually Anna started to move into visual arts without ever leaving architecture behind. And she went to London to study visual arts at Goldsmiths College. And ever since, her practice has been this really interesting fusion of art and architecture. It's sort of both and neither at once. And she's done installations across Germany and Canada and the United States, each one of them trying to kind of refashion our perceptual readings of architecture and urban spaces. I think a lot in terms of what Anna Klingman called architecture as experience. These are thinking less about buildings as objects and destinations and more as sensations and experiences and subjectivities. So without further ado, I just want to say again thank you to Thomas, to Ken. We're so pleased to be welcoming Anna here. We're excited to see what she'll be doing in Winston-Salem. And please, if you get the chance, her installation will be opening in Winston-Salem this Friday, the first of 2 works. And then the second will be running from April 15th to the 30th. So please check our website for more details. We'd love to see you there. But now I'll turn over the microphone to Anna.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for the introduction. Thank you very much, Stephen, for inviting me in the first place to come to do this project at SCCA, and thank you very much, Thomas, for inviting me here, and thank you very much, Michael, and everybody else who's involved in helping doing these projects. Looking back from now, I do understand why at the time I swapped from art to architecture, and then later back to the art world again, which I didn't understand for quite some time. Having studied and worked as an architect for quite a few years certainly has encouraged the way I work as an artist now, working along the threshold between architecture and art. Since my work deals with perception of space, having learned the tools and how to use the tools one uses as an architect not only helped, but even more probably made me do the work I do now. I will talk about my work. I will talk about how my work is dealing with the relationship between an existing space, as built space, and a specific implant made for it. I will show you my approach to the realization of the projects, which tools I use. I will show you documentation material of the video installations, and I will briefly talk about how my interest of perception and manipulation of space is dealt with in some of my photographic work. The videos I produce need the space they are shown in to become alive. The videos are only shown with a very specific relationship to the space. They're never shown on their own, and they're not narrative. I use the medium video because it allows me to work with time. It allows me to overlap the time of movement within the video and the time of space, meaning the perception of time within space. Some of the videos are produced specifically for a space. Most of them are actually produced first and then very carefully adapted and implanted into the space. I will show you first the project Trampolinist 123. It's a series of 3 site-specific video installations where the project is very much received in a one-to-one scale. In this project, the video was there as an idea, as a sketch. And when the space occurred, I started realizing the idea. In these 3 projects, I use a very predictable body movement of a trampolinist in 3 different locations. The role and interpretation of the body and its performance changed within the context of each space. I filmed in 2 sections simultaneously with 2 steady cameras the movement of a trampolinist, the bottom part including the trampoline, and the top part with the trampolinist moving and moving out of the picture plane. In each project, speed and the size of the screen are very carefully adapted. I will show you first the project Trampolinist 1. It was realized in a church in Karlsruhe in the south of Germany, and as a result of a competition where 19 churches, where artists were asked to apply for 19 churches with different installations. And I went to see all these churches, and I saw this St. Stephan Church, which is the biggest Catholic church in Karlsruhe. And I saw the space, and I knew immediately this would be exactly the right space for the upper part of the trampolinist. So I was asked to realize that project in that church. The church is obviously is obviously connected to the Pantheon in Rome, but of course not at all as beautiful as the Pantheon in Rome, but it has this incredible cupola inside. And I built models to try to approach the space, try to find a way of this is a section model of the space, trying to find a way of how to use the space for my video installations. I wanted to manipulate the whole space while not overtaking the program of the space, especially this being a holy space. So of course this was a very fragile plan. So in the church, the projection plane is located right underneath the cupola, and the invisible trampoline is located on the bottom of the church. The time lag in between disappearing and reappearing on the screen is calculated to register that position. The idea was that the trampolinist would use the almost inaccessible space of the dome to do his choreography. The trampolinist stays within the space. He tries to occupy the height and the width of it. Only sometimes with straight jumps he manages to leave through the cupola. Since I implant the video movement into built space, most of the time the screen are hung free. It allows me to even overlap the space of the site and the movement of the video even more. I never project onto a wall. In this project I use a front and a rear projection material so that one would see the projection from all sides, which was very important in that church because it had 3 different entrances. I chose the color of the screen to be very close to the tonal color of the interior so that the video and the space become even more one.